and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
I'm excited to be here.
Today we're diving into something pretty major surrounding Prince Andrew.
Ooh, this should be good.
Yeah, so there was a new article published just a couple days ago on January 31st in The Standard.
So I saw that one.
Yeah, and it's about Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that whole saga is just...
It never seems to go away, does it?
Right, like every time you think it's over, something else pops up.
Exactly, and this is a big one.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at this message that Andrew sent to Epstein. And
I was shocked when I read that.
I know, right? It just doesn't add up with everything we thought we knew about, like when their relationship ended and all that.
Right. So to really get into this, I think it would be helpful to kind of remind everybody about the background here. The controversies surrounding Prince Andrew and his ties to Epstein.
Yeah, for sure.
Epstein was convicted of sex offenses.
And let's not forget about that photo.
Oh, yes. The infamous photo from 2011.
With Virginia Giuffre.
Right. The one where he's got his arm around her.
Yeah, and Giuffre is accused Epstein of trafficking her to Prince Andrew.
That's right. And, Andrew settled that lawsuit, but never actually admitted to any guilt.
Yeah, he's always maintained that he doesn't even remember meeting Giuffre.
Right, which is a pretty hard pill to swallow.
Especially with that photo out there.
Exactly. And he's always insisted that after Epstein was convicted in 2010, he distanced himself completely.
Which is where this new revelation comes in, right?
Exactly. The Standard article, it reveals this message from Andrew to Epstein, sent in February of 2011.
So 2 months after he claimed to have cut off contact.
That's right.
Seriously? What did this message even say?
All right, so get this. He tells Epstein, keep in close touch and we'll play some more soon.
Play more soon? I mean,
yeah.
That does not sound like somebody cutting ties.
No, not at all, especially given the gravity of Epstein's crime.
It feels so flippant, almost.
Yeah, right? It's
jarring to read.
Definitely. So you're probably wondering how this even came to light. Well, it actually surfaced during a legal battle between the Financial Conduct Authority.
That's the FCA.
Yeah, and Jess Staley, the former CEO of Barclays.
Oh, wow. So not even directly related to Prince Andrew at all.
Nope, not initially. But it turns out Staley was part of Epstein's inner circle.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and they were looking into whether he had misled the FCA about the extent of his ties to Epstein.
So this information about Andrew was almost accidental.
Exactly. It really highlights how interconnected all these relationships were.
Like a spider web?
Exactly. So in this whole legal back and forth, all these emails emerged showing Epstein inviting Prince Andrew to hang out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like even suggesting that Andrew spend time with him and Staley together.
Ugh. So Andrew was actively engaging with Epstein.
It wasn't just a one-way street.
What else do these emails tell us?
Well, there's this one exchange from February 2011 where Epstein tells Andrew about Staley's upcoming trip to London.
Yeah.
And Andrew replies, confirming the dates, and ends with that line, keep in close touch and we'll play more soon.
He's so nonchalant about it.
I know, it's crazy.
And this is the same guy publicly claiming to have distanced himself from Epstein.
Right, and here's the kicker, get this.
What?
This email exchange happened on the same day that photo of Andrew with Giuffre was published.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Nope, same day.
So on the same day that photo comes out, making his connection to Epstein front page news, he's emailing Epstein about playing more soon.
It's wild, isn't it?
That is not a good look.
It's incredibly damning. The timing couldn't be worse.
So much for distancing himself.
Right. It really calls his previous statements into question.
Big time. Okay, so besides that email with Andrew, was there anything else in this case with Staley that stood out to you?
Yeah, actually, there was this revelation that Lord Peter Mandelson...
Who's that?
He's a pretty prominent British figure. Yeah. He was in contact with Epstein until at least August of 2012.
Wow, so that's 2 years after Epstein's conviction became public knowledge.
Exactly.
Sounds like Epstein's reach extended further than anybody realized.
It really does paint a picture of this network of powerful people who stayed connected to Epstein even after his crimes were exposed.
And it makes you wonder, how much did they know and when?
Exactly. And these revelations about Andrew, they just raise more questions about what his relationship with Epstein was really all about.
Like, how close were they really and what were they doing together?
Right. It just doesn't add up.
So I'm really curious to hear what you think about all this. Like, what does this mean for Prince Andrew going forward and for all these other people connected to him?
Well, this is where things get really interesting, and we're going to get into that right after a quick break.
It's like you said, it's just so damaging to his reputation.
Yeah, I mean, he was already stripped of his royal duties and patronages, but this is like next level.
It feels different, like a whole new set of problems.
It's that casual tone of the email that really gets me. Play more soon, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like he's completely oblivious to how bad this looks, or even worse, like he doesn't even care about the seriousness of what Epstein did.
Yeah, and it's just so contradictory to everything he said before about distancing himself.
Totally. It makes you wonder what playing even meant in this context.
Right, like knowing what we know about Epstein.
Exactly. It's not a word that gives you a lot of confidence.
Not at all.
And this all comes at a time when people are really starting to scrutinize these powerful figures who were connected to Epstein, you know?
Right.
Like the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, for example.
Yeah, that definitely brought a lot more attention to this whole network.
For sure. And it feels like...
Like we're peeling back the layers of an onion.
Exactly. And each layer is more disturbing than the last.
And who knows how many more layers there are.
Right. We might not even be at the core yet, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, remember, Staley has that appeal coming up in March.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a good chance that even more information could come out then.
Like what else could be hiding in those emails and legal documents?
It's like an iceberg, right? We're
Yeah.
only seeing the tip. And what's underneath could be even more unsettling.
Okay, so let's talk about consequences for a minute. Like, what could Prince Andrew actually face at this point?
That's a tough one. It's hard to say for sure. You know, he's already been removed from public life, so the palace might think they've done enough.
Right.
But I think the pressure on them to distance themselves even further is only going to increase.
Yeah, it seems pretty impossible that he could ever fully recover from this.
It's a tough road for sure. That stain of being associated with Epstein is going to be hard to shake.
It's like a permanent mark.
And this whole thing brings up that larger question of accountability, you know?
Like, who else knew what and when?
Exactly. And will anyone else be held responsible for their involvement with Epstein?
It's important to remember that there are real victims here. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
like behind all the legal battles and the headlines, there are people who suffered tremendously because of Epstein and his enablers.
It's easy to get lost in all the drama, but we can't forget about the human cost of this whole scandal.
So where do we go from here?
Mm.
What should people be watching for as this story continues to unfold?
Well, like I said, Staley's appeal in March is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Right.
Who knows what else might surface during that?
Yeah. And then there's the question of how the royal family will respond to all this new pressure.
Right. Will they try to distance themselves from Andrew even more?
I guess we'll come wait and see.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to watch how it all plays out.
So much to think about. But let's go back to that email for a second. You know, that keeping close touch, and we'll play some more soon.
Ugh, it's chilling, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about the fact that Prince Andrew has always said he had no idea about Epstein's crimes.
Right. Like he was totally in the dark.
Yeah, he's always insisted those visits to Epstein's places were just, social calls.
Yeah. Friendly visits.
But this email makes it seem like their relationship was way closer.
Oh, for sure. Like maybe even...
Complicit.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense how he could be so casual about it.
Right.
Given what we know about the situation, it's like, is playing just some kind of code word?
Right. Like, what were they really doing together?
Makes you wonder.
It definitely casts doubt on all his denials and stuff.
Big time.
I mean, how can he say he didn't know anything when he's so eager to play with Epstein even after the conviction?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
And it's not just about him knowing or not knowing. It's also about his judgment. Like, why would you even want to be associated with a convicted sex offender?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
This has been so bad for the royal family's reputation.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge scandal.
Like, their image has really taken a hit.
And public trust, too.
So what happens now? Can Prince Andrew ever really come back from this?
It's hard to imagine how he could ever fully repair his image. That Epstein connection is going to be with him forever.
So no more royal duties then?
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it.
What about legal stuff? Could he face any more consequences?
It's possible, but probably not likely at this point. You know, he settled that lawsuit with Jeffrey, and there's no sign he's going to be charged with anything.
Yeah. But like you said before, the court of public opinion is a whole other story.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's already getting a lot of heat, and this new stuff is just going to make it worse.
Absolutely. This whole thing is like a cautionary tale about power and privilege.
And how that can lead to abuse.
And how important it is to hold people accountable even if they're rich and powerful.
So as we wrap up today, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. With all these new revelations about Andrew's relationship with Epstein, how should we view his past statements now? those denials he made?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It's complicated, no easy answers.
It really makes you think.
But it's a conversation we need to have. We can't just ignore this new information.
We need to keep digging, keep asking questions, demand more transparency.
Because the truth matters.
It does, and justice needs to be served no matter who's involved.
Well said. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Prince Andrew Epstein saga. It's a story that just keeps unfolding, so we'll keep you updated as new information comes to light. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep asking those tough questions.